Jazzcast Pros.
So I've been talking to you about my doula journey and my training and the process and how I ended up here. And last episode, we talked about my Medicaid certification going through, and I have been mentioning this person in, I think, all of the podcasts around doula services. Shannon Johns is joining us today.
That was such a beautiful entry. Thank you, Kelly. That was so cute. You might need to change careers.
That is hilarious. You know, I like talking to people. So I love podcasting and being on the radio in my other lives and other positions. So thank you so much. But today is not about me. This is all about you and your journey and being a doula and being on the forefront of maternal health in not just New York State, but in the U.S. Welcome to the Healthy Illness Podcast. I am your host, Kelly Marie, and the Healthy Illness Podcast is all about helping you build healthier relationships while living with mental health conditions. I am just a Black woman out here living the healthiest life I can with these mental health conditions. And our journey together is helping build those relationships with friends, with family, with food, with money, all of the different types of relationships we can have. We're talking about them right here on the Healthy Illness Podcast. Shout out to Jazzcast Pros, our podcast network. And a big shout out to Deetra and Annette and Cicella. They all listened to the last podcast episode and left comments. So I just wanted to say thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me know that you're listening. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So feel free to email me at frontseatlife@gmail.com or on IG, Facebook. So let me know that you're listening. Let me know if there's topics you want to cover. Let me know where you are, what's helping you, and where you'd like to see Healthy Illness Podcast go. Shannon, thank you so much for being on the podcast. How are you?
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me.
I think you're an incredible human being, and I love that you care about people. We have been walking together and talking in like the hospital hallways, and you'd be like, hold on, I'll be right back. Because you saw somebody that was stiff in their walk, and you went to give them some tips in order to, like, not your clients, not people you know, you just see belly bumps, and you're like, I'll be right back. I just stand in awe, like, wow, yo, that's dope. So just tell me about how you got here. Like, how did Calming Nature come to be? How did the doula life call to you? We'll just start there.
Okay. So, one, I do that because it's like, if you can take 5 minutes of your entire life to help somebody, why not do it? So when I see somebody and I'm like, okay, I can see she's walking, she's leaning to the left, leaning to the right, or she kind of dragging something. Let me go give her a quick tip on how to help that. So this way, one, it's going to help her posture, but it's going to make her feel better. But also, too, for some women, their pregnancy can be so difficult, so physically just kind of demanding on their body that they start to dislike pregnancy, and they have this kind of negative aspect or viewpoint of it. And for some, it can turn into something more. So if you can do something that kind of gives them a little bit of support, some type of guidance, is something to give them a little bit of motivation and excitement, why not do it? Second thing, how we came to be. Oh man, this came about just through my own experience giving birth to my children, but helping out friends and family members, because they're like, how do you have so many kids? And one, how did you do it? You don't have any C-sections. Of the 6, so I'll start there. I have 6 children, and of the 6, I was induced only with, I think, 2 of them. I think only 3 and 4 I was induced with. But I'm also really comfortable with labor. Like, to me, labor isn't the worst pain imaginable, and for some people, that is the worst pain that they could think of that they will ever experience. But to me, it's not, and I've never had that belief. So my first introduction with birth is I was on the phone with my aunt when she was in labor. And I'm just talking, and I'm like, Auntie, I thought you was having a baby. And she's like, I am. I think I might have been like 12. I I think it was like 12, 11, 12, something like that.
Oh,
And she's
wow.
like, I am having a baby. And I was like, well, why are you not screaming and hollering like the people on TV? She's like, well, because that's not real. She's like, it doesn't hurt that bad. She's like, but every time you have a contraction, if you do something with the contraction, it doesn't hurt as much. And I was like, oh. So we talking and every, couple minutes she just, and I'm like, Auntie, and she'll come right back to the conversation. Like you didn't just, check out for 60 seconds or so. Like what just happened? And she's like, yeah, if you breathe through it, it doesn't hurt. So then when I got pregnant and I'm in labor, I'm like, well, Auntie wasn't completely honest with me because this do hurt. However, it's not excruciating. It's not torturous. It's not a constant pain that you're just going to sit and suffer through for the entirety of the process. So you're not in excruciating pain for 8, 10, 12, 16, 32 hours. The pain comes and goes. The pain starts and stops. The pain fluctuates in the levels of the pain. So in knowing that and being able to teach that to my friends and to my family, it was more or less like, this is something that people that people are completely unaware of. And then in like 2014, I took my first doula training, and it just kind of like from that point on, it just took off, and it just every year it just got like improved and improved and expanded and expanded and upgraded and added another service and added another service. And then in 2018, I left my full-time job and have been doing doula work full-time ever since.
Incredible. So you've always had a knowing.
Yeah. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. I had my first 2 children very young. A lot of people aren't aware, but I was a teen mom. I had my first when I was 14, and then I had another one when I was 15. And I remember thinking, like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening right now? This can't be real life. There's no reason I should have 2 kids at 15 years old. This is insane. I'm either cursed or I did something wrong. You have these thoughts, things, right? And I can look back at it now, and now I know and understand why, God chose to give me children so early in life. Why it was like, okay, well, you have a lot of options in life, and you can choose to keep these pregnancies, or you can choose not to keep these pregnancies. And I chose to keep both. And I made, decisions to be their mom, where it was very easy at that young age to be like, well, I'm just not, in a space mentally, physically, or any capacity at all to be a mother and take care of children. Mm-hmm. I could have passed that responsibility off to someone else, but I didn't. So it was like having children so young, it makes you grow up really, really quickly if you're committed to doing that job. And with a lot of times, it will be like, I'm a little kid. I want to be a kid. I want to do kid things. And it's like, well, you can't do kid things because you got adult responsibilities. And you learn from that. It's like, okay, there's option A, there's option B. Did you always choose the right option? Definitely not. Because again, you're young. You don't really know. You just want to go have fun. But it's like, okay, are you actually really going to be who these children need you to be? Or are you going to show up for them, or are you not going to show up for them? So that was kind of like the baseline. Is like, are you going to show up or not?
Man. I was also a teen mom, and we might have talked about this a little bit in my interview process of going through the doula program, but I had family support, but didn't know what support I needed, right? Like I received the support that my mother and grandmother knew to give. And my pregnancies, and so let me just side note, if you are interested in becoming a doula, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but you do not have to have given birth or have had a birthing or pregnancy experience to be a doula. That is not true. But when I look back on what I was missing, Like I was taught, as most people are, childbirth is painful. It's the absolute worst. You're going to need medication. You can't do anything when you're pregnant. You need to just lay around and just let the baby bake. And that's not even true. I mean, some people may have not the best experiences, but I'm thinking about some of the teachings and lessons you taught about doing what feels best for you. Like your body will speak to you. And I think we teach the opposite through media and movies and, all that stuff. If you're not screaming, then it's not really labor. So then you're actually looking for the pain versus realizing and understanding that it doesn't have to be such a trauma-filled experience. That's wild. That just never dawned on me that we're teaching people pregnancy has to be painful. And if it's not, then it's not a good pregnancy
if it's not painful, then you're doing something wrong.
Right.
But that's very similar to what's being, taught or what the belief is behind breastfeeding. Quick story. I remember being I think I was in the 9th grade, and they asked I went to the school. It was called Center for Young Parents. So it was basically like a school for girls that, were teenagers and were either pregnant or had already given birth. And they were doing like this, I don't know, like a promotion, almost like an after school special type thing. And they were like, we want to, have moms that go to school here talk to other young teenagers about pregnancy and what it's like being a parent. So this way as a way to kind of like prevent teen pregnancy. And I remember doing my interview and they told me no. And I'm like, well, why you don't want me to do it? What's wrong with me? And they're like, well, you just make it seem like it's easy and it's doable. And we don't want to give that impression to other teenagers. And that kind of pissed me off. Like, nothing about this is easy, but it is doable. But that doesn't mean I'm promoting it. And it's doable because I literally sacrificed basically my entire day, that entire period, that moment of my life to commit to my children. So do I want to go and hang out at the basketball game with my other girls that are in school? Yeah, but I can't because this one has bedtime. This one's potty training. This one's had this, whatever is going on. That's my responsibility. And that's where my commitment lies, is being a mom. The other stuff is great and I will like to attend it. And at those moments when I do have the opportunity to attend, I'll attend. However, the priority is my children. So when I get up for school in the morning, I have my alarm set and I have my schedule as to what my day looks like. Between 7 and 7:15, this is where I do this. Between 7:15 and 7:30, this is where I do this. So I had everything laid out, what happens every single day, because that's what made it work. That's what made it functionable. But this is also where it put in my mind, like, these are the things that you need to do. These are the things that you need to focus on. And not so much the woe is me. And I think that was a part of it that they didn't like. They really wanted someone to come on there and say, oh, I hate it. It's so bad. It's so torturous. I can't do anything. I can't live my life. No, you still can live your life. You just have other responsibilities and priorities. And you have to focus on what is the main goal and what are you really committing to do right now. And if you get pregnant, then that's up to you. You decide to keep the pregnancy, then you're obligated to keep the responsibilities that come along with it. And if at any point you decide this isn't for me, then you find somebody else to take those responsibilities. But the responsibilities are going to be there.
Good. Because so looking at all the relationships, but especially around parenting and childbirth and giving up, quote unquote, giving up your freedom to be able to have children, I didn't see it that way. It was here I am. People have been giving birth since the very beginning. Like whatever the beginning is, people have been having kids. And so even at the age that I was as a late teen, I was 17, being pregnant, that was like in the history of time, an older pregnancy. Like that's I don't want to go off on no tangent, and I just want to talk about you and your experience. But
I get it. You get pregnant when you're young. The first thing they tell you is you ruined your life.
Yes,
that is absolutely what they tell you. Your families, the people that are in the positions to support you, to give you guidance, to educate you, you just ruined your life. That's the message that comes all the way across. You ruined your life. You just made everything worse. It's all negative. You get all negative feedback, or at least in my experience, that's what I got from all the adults. However, my sister, my friends, I'll help you change diapers. I'll come and help you. Yeah, we can still, I'll help you put the stroller together. They don't have the awareness of what the responsibility truly looks like or what was really going to happen. However, they were still supportive of it. Whereas you have the adults around you that are supposed to be guiding you, being mentors, being, these positive role models for you and influencing you to do better with your life and make these healthy decisions and choices. And for a lot of teenagers, those people fail them. But then also too, you have to look at their perspective, and that's what they really truly believe. You just ruined your life. You just messed up everything that was ever supposed to be given to you, or everything that you were supposed to be blessed with. You have just now ruined or blocked all of it from happening because you chose to get pregnant. And it's not like, for me at least, teenagers like, oh, I want to go get pregnant. I'm going to intentionally get pregnant. When I found out I was pregnant with my first, my sister was like, I think you're pregnant. And I was like, I'm not old enough to get pregnant. What are you talking about? I had no clue that you could get pregnant at such a young age because you're young, you're a child. I didn't have that know-how at that age or at that point to be aware of how it actually worked. So my sister is like, yeah, I think you're pregnant. And my sister, she's like, well, call grandma. We didn't want to tell my mom. So she's like, call grandma. So I called grandma. I'm like, Grandma, Tanyana said, she think I'm pregnant. And my grandmother was like, well, you got to go take a test. I don't remember if I took a test. I don't remember if I went to a doctor. No, I didn't go to a doctor because I didn't see an OB. So I'm trying to remember. I think I went to like Planned Parenthood or something and took the test there. And I came back and told my grandma, I was like, Grandma, it said I'm pregnant. What is, you have nothing at that point that you find out you're pregnant and you're 13. You're like, I don't even know what to do. My grandmother took me to all my appointments. And for people that are here in Buffalo, there was a doctor, Dr. James McDaniel. I love Dr. McDaniel. He was like the real life version of Bill Cosby. And he really he really taught me like complete ownership of my body and my abilities. And I would ask him like, well, what? And he's like, well, you're the one that's pregnant. You tell me. And I'm like, I don't know. Aren't you the doctor? And he's like, yeah, but you pregnant. Tell me what you feel and then I can help you. But he really just, he gave me that awareness. He was very, very supportive. There was no pressure to do anything other than what I felt like I really needed to do. So when I'm in labor and he's like, do you want to, I remember being in the hospital and I'm like, these contractions really do suck. And I was like, what can you guys give me? And they're like, well, we can give you this medication. They're like, but you're still going to feel it. This one's going to make you sleepy. They're like, the only thing that's going to just completely take away everything is like, you can get an epidural. And I was like, oh, okay, well, give it to me. And they're like, okay, well, first off, you have to do this. And then the needle goes in your back. And I said, wait a minute, back up. What? She's like, yeah, we have to put a needle. I said, never mind. What else do you got? They're like, that's it. I was like, that's it. And I remember him coming in and he's like, if you want it, you can do it. He's like, you can do it without it. He's like, you're doing it. He's like, just continue to do it. And because my mind was so focused on trying to figure out what else can I do to avoid having to get that epidural because I was afraid of the needle going in my back, that I literally just kind of took my mind off the fact that the contractions was hurting because I was focusing on something else. And then when it came time to push, he's like, you got to push. He's like, I can't push the baby out for you. You got to push. But he guided me and he gave me that support all the way through. So it's a matter of The people that are in a position to help the teenagers, are they truly helping them? And for some of them, they think that they are, but if you ask a teenager, she'll probably tell you no.
Right. So, because now I want to talk about youth empowerment and body ownership, that's not why we're here today. But it's so important, folks, community, people that are either paid to care or care out of the kindness of of their heart, don't really, and this is a generalized statement, but don't really believe in the experiences that young people are having. And they get talked down to and disrespected, but then get in trouble for not being respectful, but they haven't been respected. Like I remember it's like people don't remember being young and having rational, clear thoughts and desires for our lives, for our bodies, for our friends, for our communities. Like you don't just wake up and become an adult. Like we're the same people we were, just older.
Mm-hmm.
And we miss the opportunity to really support and pour into our young people who become old people. So if they don't have the support and weren't taught to give support, unless they go on this journey to figure out how to do it right or how to do it better, we're just repeating the same cycles over and over and over again from a place of well-meaning when it's not helpful at all.
Right.
But I see how your life pours into your present and how present you are with us, your team of doulas that you're educating, as well as those affiliated directly with Calming Nature Doula Services. I see it, in these meetings, and, we might side eye because some important people are saying stuff and it's like, they don't know. So I just want to say thank you for just sharing, because it provides so much more depth to the everyday experiences that, well, we don't see each other every day, but to those times that we are together. Also speaks to, I don't know if you remember, we were at one of the births and we were talking about a knowing that Black folks have, regardless of our religious affiliation or what neighborhood or city you represent or country or read, like whatever. There's this knowing, and maybe all people have it, I don't know, but I'm Black, so that's all I could go off of, that we have regardless of these boxes that people force us to choose for ourselves. Can you talk a little bit about how you create community and create that space of pouring into doulas and parents to have more people, I guess, focus on that knowing and tapping into that knowing that folks have?
I'm going to say you have to trust in yourself. Your gut, your instinct, all that stuff is real. And it's always like after the fact, they were like, dang it, I knew it. I felt it and something told me. So you have that first initial thought, that first initial knowing of, okay, I should be asking questions, or I don't feel good about this, or I really feel like I should be going another way. You have to pay attention to that. So a lot of times just giving people awareness that it is there, that it exists, and giving them the opportunity to give themselves that permission to make that decision to say, yes, I can do this for myself. I am capable. I do have the ability to do this. Those things make a difference. So that's one of the things that comes in how we work with our clients during pregnancy, how we work with them when they're in labor, but also too how we support, educate, and guide their support people. Because again, you don't know what you don't know, and especially when it comes to Black African American people, there is a history. So depending on what the experience was of your mom, your auntie, your cousin, your grandmother, your second auntie, your second grandmother, whomever else in your family, but also who's in the father's family, how involved they may be, there is a history there, and there is an experience that they had. They can only relay information based on their experience. And if their experience was traumatic, just do what you're told. Don't ask questions. That's the only information that they have to relate to you. So the younger generation coming up, they're going to have questions. Oh, what was labor like? I don't know. I had 4 C-sections. So do you know what contract? Well, I kind of sort of remember, but I got, they just gave me the first one. I just got the epidural. And then after I had that first one, I just scheduled all my C-sections. She's going to have a more difficult time preparing her daughter for a birth center birth.
Mm-hmm. This is incredible. So I think it's so important to learn about how a person got to where they are and what kind of life lessons, life experiences that have happened to them on their journey to place them where we meet them. And so we have not talked about doula life much, but you have laid the foundation, and everything without me knowing. Everything that you have shared today just deepens my admiration for you. So I still want to make sure that we talk about Calming Nature Doula Services and doulaing and what you look for when you're bringing on doulas to your team and how people can get in touch with you. We're going to do that next week. So stay tuned, come back, like, subscribe, share, all the things so you could be notified when part 2 of The Life and Times of Shannon Johns is coming next week. Until then, if you are in need of someone to talk to, if you are in crisis, if you are just at a place where life doesn't make sense and you don't feel like lifing, call 988. 988 is the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis and talk line. They are there, ready and waiting to hear your voice. You are not alone. You are not by yourself. There are those available, ready, and willing right now to be able to help you through this moment in time. We'll be back in 7 days. Be the light.